here's what I loved about my mother. Okay, first of all, she was beautiful. She simply was gorgeous. And when I asked my brother and sister, why aren't we good looking like that? And my sister Carol said, because she married the beast. And we all take after the beast. And she was lovely. And I remember, you know, what I remember a lot about is when I was a baby. You know, I started the memory part of my life very early. And I can remember being in the high chair. One horrible image I have from that high chair, I can tell you where it was. It was in a place called Lighter Than Air, a base that was headquarters on it, not far from El Toro in California. And I always grew up loving that phrase. We were stationed at Lighter Than Air. And I remember my father beating my mother to the floor. And mom screaming and crying, and me crying as a baby from the high chair. And I remember that was my first conscious thought, and that was my welcome to the world. And that was the world that I was born into. My mother was the soft part of that world, the wonderful part of that world, the part of the world that gave me a love for language. She read to me and my sister Carol our whole childhood. When I published The Death of Santini, my brother Tim is particularly bitter. I did not know this, but Mom quit reading to the kids after Carol and I got older. And then, you know, Kathy, what, 4 kids came out of it? How many of you all came? No, you said you're laughing. Okay, it's 5 kids came. She didn't read to them. So all my younger brothers and sisters are dopes. And they don't have any of the, you know, this thing, but Mom did read to us religiously. I can remember her reading in her voice, her southern voice, the sound of her voice, and that affected me. Mostly it was her softness, her protection of me from Dad, her trying to wade into battle when Dad would be knocking the rest of us around. Mom would fight. And it was that fighting that I loved the most, that she would fight for me, and fight for her kids. I loved it. And, but you know, that became the fictional world, which was part of, but when I look back at Mom, you know, something like Mother's Day, Mom raised me to be a Southern writer, raised me to be a writer, told me that I was in 7th or 8th grade, and she tells me that. That's what I'd like you to do. And I worshiped her so much, that's what I did, you know, for whatever reason. That's how it turned